Fire, betrayal, and shattered loyalties, Kimmie takes the throne while enemies hide in every shadow. Secrets blow out, alliances fall apart, and one poor decision could ruin everything she has battled for. Power is not granted in the Malloy Empire, it is taken, and the price of survival is fatal. After the explosive Season 1 finale, time feels compressed as Kimmie assumes her role as Mrs. Malloy with calculated restraint rather than celebration. On the other hand, Horace revels in defying his family, already planning ahead. Kimmie realizes that although Horace's father's will protects her, it leaves Rain, her sister, and Angel vulnerable, prompting her to focus on securing their future. However, the Malloy family descends into chaos, and they blame Varney despite his unsuccessful last-minute warning to Charles. Kimmie doesn't waste any time taking charge, leaving Horace's hospital room to recruit Alex. Mallory, in the meantime, creates tension by accusing Roy and his father of having an affair with Kimmie. Beneath the commotion, Varney exposes the true change in power as Roy retaliates with his own charges. The family is weakened and resentful as a result of Horace's legal protection of the marriage, the addition of Rain, Angel, and Kimmie's sister to the will, and the reduction of everyone's shares. Meanwhile, personal tensions arise when Varney confesses his love to Charles and is rejected due to his secrecy. By the time Kimmie arrives at the Malloy mansion with Rain and her sister, the weight of her new reality hits her enemies now share a home, making victory a risky game. Even though she is surrounded by signs of power, luxury, authority, and a fortune at her disposal, Kimmie refuses to act impulsively and is already focused on a broader plan as time seems to be working in her favor. As time passes, Kimmie tightens her hold on power by discreetly opening new accounts for Rain and Sylvie and depositing $500,000 into each, an act that carries emotional weight, but also signifies long-term control. Meanwhile, tension rises as Varney tries to hide his whereabouts after being discovered leaving Charles's place. When his weak justification is rejected, Roy, who was already suspicious, cuts Varney's tires to demonstrate his power. Additionally, he employs the elements of fear and dominance to ensure Varney keeps his secret. However, Varney keeping the secret to himself piques Mallory's curiosity. She eventually finds out the truth through Roy and becomes hell-bent on digging deeper into Kimmie's past. Her investigation ties her to Jules, and she learns that her driver, Calvin, was quietly fired. She keeps these clues for future reference. In the meantime, Horace acts quickly to eliminate the threat surrounding Kimmie by confronting Daniel Lakeland and putting an end to any retaliation. However, this decision backfires when an innocent scapegoat, mistakenly thought to be expendable, turns out to be Angel, resulting in his apparent death before the truth can be revealed, a revelation Horace hesitates to share as he struggles to find the right moment. Even Rain, who has no interest in idle cash, starts to see herself as independent through the club, which encourages Kimmie to think about increasing her power. As another twist bends time once more, Rain discovers that Horace ordered the hit, causing a chain reaction that further shatters the truth. Back in the hospital, Horace encounters an unexpected emotional play from his brother Norman, whose sudden desire for reconciliation confuses sincerity and strategy, leaving everything hanging in uncomfortable suspension. Meanwhile, Angel survives and tries to escape with his family, only to be betrayed. Time runs out as Horace quickly puts an end to Norman's attempt at reconciliation by revealing all of his transgressions, including his affair with Horace's ex-wife, the theft of his business, and the criminal empire he now runs with Jules, which is based on money laundering and the exploitation of women. Horace also makes it clear that there will be no peace and vows to see him behind bars. Norman quickly switches to damage control. He ties up loose ends with Jules after killing Judge Harold by placing a bomb that kills him and his wife. This horrible act causes shockwaves and even infuriates Jules for its carelessness. Since Norman and Jules cannot claim ownership without implicating themselves, a new issue arises when Delinda's son shows up with the intention of selling the club and threatening to reveal everything. Meanwhile, Rain tells Kimmie that Horace was responsible for Angel's alleged demise. As a result, Kimmie becomes terrified and tries to escape with Rain and Sylvie. She finally has a breakdown and provokes a confrontation, during which Horace, offended by her lack of faith, eventually soothes and reassures her. He reminds her that the will now protects her, Rain, and Angel. Now that only Sylvie is at risk, they implore Kimmie to protect her. This choice also supports Kimmie's long-held dream of providing her sister with a better future. As their emotions subside, they turn their attention to business, where Kimmie demonstrates her ability and ambition and wins Horace's respect. After discovering Varney's secret, Mallory becomes more confident and drags him out. However, their evening turns into encounters with a spiraling Olivia, whose chaos reveals Varney's truth to others, causing further dysfunction within the family. Roy lashes out and runs away to the club, leaving Barney on the verge of another. In another scene, Rain uses her rage to get retribution by finding Daga, the person who almost murdered her. During another procedure, she sets up a trap where a vicious fight breaks out, but Alex intervenes to show his loyalty and helps her defeat Daga. Despite the violence, Rain demonstrates restraint by sparing an innocent girl, though the ramifications of that decision are still unknown as the tension builds. As things pick up speed, Charles shocks everyone by shedding his reckless image and fighting off armed robbers on his own, proving he's far more capable than anyone thought. However, when the danger passes, his calls for assistance are ignored. Varney, still resentful, refuses to respond. Roy is too preoccupied chasing women to care, even going so far as to demand that Jules hire one of them, Felicia, as his secretary despite Mallory already working there, a move dripping with disrespect. In the meantime, Angel's life appears to stabilize, while Horace gets ready to leave for cancer treatment, making sure Kimmie will take over. Kimmie has calculated authority when she joins the company. She refuses to be hurried into the shareholders' meeting and makes the family wait before taking charge. She humiliates Roy by making him accompany her to her office. Tension increases elsewhere in the meantime. Rain discovers Sylvie with an enigmatic, stable kid posing as Jules' son. Rain pours from a balcony during the altercation, intensifying the mayhem. Kimmie encounters a series of difficulties back in the office. Mallory is startled when she shuts her down. When Kimmie first walks into the meeting, she relies on Horace's advice before seizing the initiative. She skillfully silences interruptions with her astute strategy to revitalize the business through modern marketing and restructuring. Despite Varney's reluctance due to blackmail, she reveals Olivia and Norman's financial machinations. Jules is forced to acknowledge Kimmie's authority with a slap after she confronts him directly. He threatens to reveal family secrets, just as she is about to hold him responsible, endangering everything. Jules is enraged when Kimmie remains composed in the face of danger, demonstrating that she can reach Jules's family just as easily as he can threaten hers. They had no idea that Rain had already caused worse things to happen. The stables are in disarray when Kimmie gets home. Alex proposes a cover story after Jules's son is hurt, but the timing seems dubious. After Varney and Roy leave him, Charles fights by himself, with bodies in his house. Charles is so desperate that he calls his mother for a costly cleanup after burglars strike again when Varney returns. Jules's son is taken to the hospital after surviving at the house. Sylvie acknowledges that their contact was consensual when Kimmie confronts her, but Kimmie is adamant about sending her away for safety, even though she is already losing her ability to protect Rain, Angel, and Sylvie. Roy undermines the will behind the scenes by taking advantage of Varney's secret. Roy revels in his deceit while Jules starts to suspect the truth about his son endangering Rain. In another scene, the purportedly dead father heals and gets ready to return, threatening to upend everything.